Down the call.
What if I don't want it?
Chat says definitely B.
Beat 4 folds.
Action here on Ben Heath from the United Kingdom. Successful poker player, $1 million in live cashes. He actually just won a tournament in the Bahamas for $140,000 earlier this month. Ooh, and right now he's run into a pretty big hand. The honeys for Vijayaram. Hey, girls. I think we're going to see a raise here. And now, I don't think Heath is at risk of going broke pre-flop or anything, given the depth of his stack. He did start today as one of our chip leaders. That's just a call. Gotta imagine, Vijayaram is going to feel the pressure here. This is his first live cash ever! Ever! He's rechecking his cards here. You can kind of see he feels excited, or I mean, tense is, everybody is feeling tense. They're playing for 1.6 million freaking dollars. I mean, looks like he is chopping out a raise. And here it comes. Oh, sorry, I thought it was coming. There it goes. We are going to see a re-raise here. Looks like about 320,000 maybe. All right, pretty small re-raise here. Only 200,000 more. Ain't no way Heath is going to just fold 2 tens pre-flop here. My guess is we're going to see a flop, and that is what's going to happen. And hey, just like that, this is a 700,000 chip pot. There's more chips in this pot than Fedor has in his stack. Oh. Oh, hi there. Man, think about you make the final table of the main event. Really, the first hand you play, call a re-raise, flop quads. Yeah. No big deal. No big deal. And this might get Vijayaram in some trouble. Hard to put your opponent on too many tens here. Food of the gods. Now, Vijayaram could still make running quads. So he's not dead. There is a chance. And that looks like 500,000 chips. If Vijayaram can get away from this hand without doubling up Heath, I think that would be a victory. And Heath's going to check back and be like, do I really have quads? Oh, yep, I sure do. Yep. 2 pair, 10s and 10s. And now how is Heath going to play it here? I mean, it seems like a pretty good time to slow play and just call. Vijayaram does look a little curious, and that king may save him from losing too much here. Heath checks. That king will definitely, or at least I believe that king will potentially slow down the action here. Indeed it does go check, check. My guess is that Heath is going to bet here on the river. A pretty healthy bet is my guess. Heath bets 800, 900,000, hoping that Vijayaram's got ace king or queens or jacks. And you can see Ben looks very calm. Not doing any kind of, he looks just like he always does. Which is important if you're going to play poker. Looks like he has decided it's time to bet. Now the question is, how much is he going to bet? That looks like 555,000. Pretty big pot here, the biggest pot of our final table. 585 here for Mr. Heath. And now if you're Vijayaram, can you possibly fold here? I mean, I think the answer is no. Spoiler alert. The pot is just too big. That being said, what kind of hands would Heath play this way that queens beat? Would Heath really bet a hand like jacks or nines? Probably not. So you really only beat some bluffs. Like what, ace jack, ace queen, queen jack suited? Tough to lay this down though. I certainly wouldn't fault him for a call here. This would be a great laydown if he can somehow make it. He rechecks his cards. No problem taking your time here when we're playing for $1.6 million. This is his first cash ever in a live tournament. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That is a great laydown. That is really next level laydown by Vijayaram. Incredibly impressed by that fold. I did not think he was going to get away from it.
Interesting idea that we're watching. Interesting idea to watch. Yeah. Instead of having someone tell you someone bluffed you off a pot,
Action's going to be on our short stack. Fedor Holz. He's got about 11.5 big blinds.
50,000 call.
King 6 not going to help him here.
6 folds. State 7 folds. State 1 folds.
Action over to Tobias Hausen. He's not going to play the jack 8.
State 2 folds. State 3 folds.
All these players guaranteed 200,000. Started with 725 players, down to the final 7. Still no eliminations at this final table. Blind versus blind play here between David and Ben. Olson just a call. Heath with a pretty good hand in a limped pot. Will he just check or decide to raise? I would guess he would lean towards raising, but nope. He decided to just check it out.
Got heads up.
We're heading to a flop.
Check a bit.
Queen 4 takes the lead here. 4 is looking for some running hearts or the last 4.
4 checks. State 5 checks.
Quick check here on the flop. Well, 4s have a little bit of life. No more 4s left in the deck, but there are some hearts for him to find.
Fucking nice.
Olson decides now it's time to bet with his queen.
State 4 bets 70,000.
Heath might think he has the best hand here. He does beat a variety of straight draws. He does have a low heart draw. And 7s and 4s could be the best hand, right? Limped pot, blind versus blind. Olson's shown no strength till now. He does decide to call here.
Check a bit.
And that may get Heath into some trouble. Improves to a full house on the river. Now, Olson's got to love his hand. 7's full of queens. I mean, unless Heath somehow has the 7, can't really imagine that Olson's hand is not winning. And the question is, how much is Olson going to bet here into a pot of 275? That's got to be what he's considering.
Seat 4 bets 210,000.
Olson does bet a lot here on the river. 200,000, about 4/5 of this pot. And now Heath's got a tough decision. He beats all the straight draws. I mean, not that he always has ace jack and, you know, king jack, but ace jack, king jack, jack 9, jack 8, 8 9, 7 or 8 6, 8 6 9. Missed heart draws if he just has, you know, like ace 3 offsuit. That hand might check the river, but like maybe if he has king 3 offsuit with the king of hearts, something like that. We got to call 200,000 to win about 500,000, so we're getting about 2.5 to 1 here on the river. Ben Heath trying to get a read on his opponent. Ben is either in second place or about tied for second place right now. Gotta think he's debating between calling and folding. I suppose there's a chance he's debating raising, but I think his hand is just good enough he could debate in between calling and folding. Ben Heath does not look happy about it here. Correctly so. There's no time clock on the players today. These players are playing for $1.6 million. This is the main event. There was only a shot clock on the 100K from yesterday. You can go back and rewatch that if you ever want for free. You can find those links on riustats.com. Right now, though, the main event. He loses to any 10, but how many 10s are going to bet here? I mean, betting a 10 would be kind of thin. Nice fold here from Ben Heath. Thought it through. Good lay down there from Ben Heath. Well played. And that pot goes over to the last American in this tournament, David Olson, who's climbed up to about 3. We all will be playing down to a winner tonight. Tell your friends, come hang out, runitup.tv. There's also a tweet live about today's show at Jason Somerville. Use that hashtag Aussie Millions. Get in touch with us. Action's going to be here on Ben Heath. He's not going to play the 7-4.
6-6 fold.
Folds around to our chip leader with Queen Jack offsuit. A marginal hand. He decides to let it go.
He's staying in Australia after.
Taking a bit of a different approach with the big stack here. Not really applying a ton of pressure so far. Understandably, though, given that Vijayaram qualified on a $130 satellite, and this is his first live cash ever.
Sorry, expo card.
What area?
Like incubating, angel investing.
135.
So Tobias Hausen with suited ace going to raise on the button. Now up to the big blind with king 9.
Always sounds like so much fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine.
This is my way of finding funding.
Call. C4 fold.
It was you that said you want to do something in teaching eventually, right?
We do that's our long-term goal is like have educational impact.
Off to a flop here.
We want to go into like mindset stuff.
Ooh, both players improve. Ace 5 suited flops a pair and a flush draw. Olson with top pair, though.
It's just so hard to eat.
Yeah, they're a nightmare. Yeah, I feel like there's quite a lot to change in the education system.
Yeah.
C2
And
bet
Hausen going to start here with the bet on the flop. How is Olson going to play his top pair? He's clearly not folding. The question is he just check call? I think...
C4 call.
Yep, he does go ahead and check call here. Would be a little bit of an overplay to check raise here. He does decide just to check call. Turn is a 4. King 9 still leads. Tobias picked up a gut shot to go with his flush draw in pair. As we can see, there are a whole lot of outs to make Tobias the best hand. It does go check check here. And that's probably the best card for Tobias. Ace is kind of scary for the king. Club is somewhat scary for the king. 3 puts a 4 straight on board, but a 5 might be the card that gets Hausen paid. Does Olson want to value bet this hand? Kings and 5s, 9 kicker, not an insane thing to consider. Might get looked up by a pocket pair, an ace high hand. But we can see he wouldn't be betting for value here. Well, he would be, but it wouldn't be working. Action still here on David. Looks like he is going to bet. And it's going to be a hefty bet. Those are the 100,000 chips.
325,000.
That is a hefty bet. 325,000. And Tobias must be loving this here. Now the question is for Tobias, do we raise or just call? Like, yes, our hand is very good, but could our opponent have a full house or a straight? It's fairly unlikely that our opponent has a full house, right? King 5, maybe King 5 suited, 5-4 suited. But besides that, I mean, like, deuces, maybe deuce, I guess. Ace 3, maybe. 6-3, probably not. Maybe 6-3 suited, maybe. If you can rule out those hands, then I guess we should raise and hope that Olson either has a worse 5 or a king. But this would be a tough call to make with Olson's exact hand. When you get raised here on the river, I mean, King 9 does not look too good. This is definitely a spot he is debating between raising and calling. Tough decision, really. Remember, another part that makes this tough is because of how much David bet. David didn't bet a small amount. He bet 300,000. Well, I guess the pot had about 580 or so in it, so I guess it's only around half the pot. But if the graphics are correct, Hausen is going to go ahead and raise here. I had thought that Olson bet a bigger percentage of the pot, but how big was the flop bet? 120 call, 240 pre, plus like 100. Yeah, I guess that's got to be right. Hausen decides to raise here on the river to 850,000. So a very hefty raise. And now Olson's got to think, okay, what kind of hands can he beat? Missed club draws? Stone nothings. He beats those, of course. If he's just turning ace jack or something like that into a bluff here. First question Olson has to ask himself is this, can my opponent play a 5 this way? He raised the button, bet the flop, checked the turn, raised the river. That sounds pretty reasonable to me for a variety of hands like 5-7 suited, ace 5 makes a lot of sense.
50K running?
Olson does let this go. Good laydown from him. And our German player is going to drag this pot.
Action on C4, 100,000 a call.
Some decent hands here. This is the first time we've seen hands of this quality. More than one of them at least. Hausen here with 2 8s. Rossiter with 10-9 suited.
C1 calls.
How is this going to play out? So Shurane raises with ace-queen suited. Rossiter calls the button with 10-9. Action is going to be on Hausen with 2 8s in the small blind. Is he going to re-raise here or just call? I suspect that Rossiter's call is going to make him more inclined to raise. 2 8s are pretty strong in a four-handed pot. Sorry, four-handed play. You can see Jeff Rossiter paying very close attention here. My suspicion is that we're going to see a raise to $1 million or bigger. And then the question really going to be, what does Vijayaram do here?
C2 calls.
He is going to just call, actually. And now Heath got to call 150 more to win 900,000, getting a great price. But as we can see, he is by far
C3 false.
in the worst spot pre-flop. He lets it go. So 3 very premium hands seeing a flop here. And ooh, baby, we're going to see some action here. Rossiter flops an up and down straight end flush draw. Shurane with top pair, top kicker. And my guess is we're going to see Rossiter put some money in the middle. We do see right now that Hausen has 2 8s, so that's going to take out 2 of Rossiter's outs. Shurane going to bet here, looks like. That looks like 300, maybe 400,000.
Bets. 475,000.
So almost a $500,000 here. And now Rossiter has only about 3 million total. With 1.4 million in the pot, I think he might just shove right now. There is some chance that Vijayaram might fold if he just has a jack, or maybe a hand like a weaker queen, maybe like queen 10 or queen, something like that might just fold. Ooh, Rossiter just with a flat call here. Gotta say, did not see that coming, but an interesting play here. And you gotta imagine 2 8s is gonna fold at this point.
C2 folds.
So 2 very strong hands colliding here. We can see Rossiter is actually in the lead here on the flop.
Action on C fold.
And there it is, heart on the turn. Rossiter can't lose this hand unless he folds on the river.
C4 checks.
Nice slowdown here from VJ. And the Rossiter's got to be loving this spot here. Turns the flush. Tons of money in the pot right now. Gotta imagine he's going to bet here. Doesn't really want to see another heart roll off. Has a little more than a pot-sized bet left. How much is he going to bet here? I mean, even if he shoved, there's a chance he could get called by ace-queen in this spot. Given that we know the cards, even that size would actually be okay here. Can't really imagine he's going to check. Rossiter debating his options right now. I mean, could bet like 800,000 here. Has a little more than the pot size bet left. Jeff was our short stack to start this hand. Likely going to end with a fairly medium stack. Oh, and Jeff does move all in here on the turn. And now this is a pretty tough spot. What is Shurane going to do here? Top pair, top kicker. No heart, though. We can see he's drawing dead, but this is not an easy fold to make. He's not quite getting 2-1 on his money, getting a little worse than 2-1. Has to call 2.3 to win 4.2. Getting like 1.8 to 1 or something like that. There are definitely some hands that Ace-Queen can beat here. King-Queen. Ace-Jack with the Ace of Hearts. King-10 with a heart. Queen-10 offsuit with a heart. Jack-10 offsuit with a heart. Maybe a hand like 10s with a heart if that doesn't re-raise pre-flop, but...
2,560,000.
Okay, so it's actually a little bit more than we thought. 2,560,000. So that means the price is a little bit worse than I just said. 2.5 into 1.8, so 4.3 in the pot. Got to call 2.5 to win 4.3. There we go. Beautiful graphics adjustment. Tough spot here. And can't help but think, but if Rossiter had just raised it up or jammed on the flop, he would be doubling up now. And now there's a chance that Shurane can get away from it here. Let's see if he can figure this out on the turn. I believe Jeff is making this big bet to make it look like he wants Vijayaram to fold. This is how he would play if he had a pair with a heart or some sort of semi-bluff hand. This will be the last hand before the break. Shurane trying to figure this hand out here. We have seen him think through decisions before and get it right. Will he think through this one correctly for a big pile of chips? If he calls here, he'll be down to under 5 million, and Jeff would move into second place. Tough spot. Let's recount the hand from the very beginning. Shurane raised. Jeff called. Small blind called as well. Queen 7 Jack. Shurane bets on the flop. 475,000. Something like that. Jeff calls. Turn the flush. Check. Shove. And now here we are. Tough spot here. Definitely fine to take your time here and think about it, especially because the tournament's on break. Remember, this is Vijayaram's first ever live tournament cash. First ever cash. Qualified for $130. Playing for 1.6 million now with 400,000 locked up already. He is not used to making high stakes decisions, at least at the poker table. What do you guys think? Do you think Vijayaram will find the fold here? Tough spot. This is not an easy fold. It's easy for us to be like, yeah, fold, of course. Ace queen, what can you do? But without knowing Jeff's hand, you would hate to fold here and be like a 2-1 or better favorite. Soul022 says, do you think if Rossiter called the clock, it would look stronger or weaker? Haven't seen the clock called once at a featured table in the 3 days we've been casting. My guess is that it would look... I don't know, really. How would a player that has no live caches read that? I mean, I would look at it differently than he would look at it, right? So I don't really know how he would see it. Wow. A lot of Twitch chat says he's going to fold. Dang. I don't know, man. I think he might find a call here. We have seen him think a long time before and then fold. We are certainly well beyond the time where it's reasonable to call the clock, but it's up to one of the players to do it. And this is, like I said, his first ever cash. You really can't blame the guy for thinking through it, playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars in prize money. Tough spot here for Vijayaram. This hand, or at least this street, has got to be over 5 minutes now. And I wonder if Jeff could do anything to, like, influence the action at this point. Like, it's obvious that VJ's got a tough decision. I wonder if he could do anything, like, I don't know. I just wonder if there's anything if when I'm in this spot as Jeff, I'm always, at this point, I'm like, I wonder. Yeah, he's a little confused here about why Jeff would play such a good hand this way. How does Jeff have a set and play this way? That doesn't make a lot of sense. How does he play a set on the flop, just call and then shove turn? I mean, it seems so unlikely. I think he might find a call here, honestly. Like, VJ's like, how can he have two pair? Seven, it doesn't make any sense. Queen Jack exactly? Wouldn't that raise the flop? Like, Jeff is really saying he either has a flush or like a pair and a draw. And we beat the pairs and the draws, and we're stone dead against the flushes. Tough spot here on the turn. And remember, guys, there's only 21 million chips in play. Good fold. Good fold. Thought through it, made the right laydown. But with that pot offsuit, I mean, can't really blame him for folding. If his opponent actually has it, he's in awful shape. If he's ahead, he's not ahead by much. Vijayaram here with a pair. I believe this is his first pocket pair of the match. He's going to come in for a raise. And Heath with a very reasonable king-8. He's going to defend. 500,000 chips in the pot heading to the flop. A little more than that, even. And interesting flop here. Vijayaram with the best hand, but Heath with the up and down straight draw.
Two bets, 400,000.
Vijayaram bets here. Heath, of course, going to continue.
Action on one. One checks. Action on two.
Vijayaram now could make a straight with an 8 or a 4. Heath needs to catch a 5 or a 10 to make a straight. King would also make him the best hand. We know a 5 is going to be hard to come by, but that would certainly be a bit of an action card, though it would put lots of straights on board. Now, Vijayaram fires with his 5s twice here. Must feel like he has the best hand, and he is very right about that. 80% here on the turn. And now Ben Heath doing some quick accounting. He's got about 4 million left behind. It actually would be a pretty cool spot to shove here on the turn. It would be so tough to call with fives. And this is the first time in this heads-up match we've seen Ben really look at his opponent. Ben getting about 4-1 to call, 500,000 to win 2 million. Exactly 4-1. Ooh, and that is a check raise. And now I think Vijayaram's hand may be just barely good enough for him to call here on the turn. Turn was a 3. At least I'm pretty sure it was a 3.
1,390,000.
So it's a raise to 1.39 million. Heath check raising here on the turn. If Vijayaram didn't have the straight draws, like
1,385,90,000.
like let's say Vijayaram had ace 6 instead of 2 5s. This play is probably more likely to work. But because Vijayaram does have those straight draws, although an 8 isn't really fantastic, you know, you river an 8 and any 10 has a higher straight. But yeah, I think having that straight draw allows him to call here, and Ben's going to need some help.
Actional 1.
That is not going to do it, but that's a scary river card. Ben hasn't moved all in. If that is what he's going to do, we don't know that. That's the graphics getting a little excited. I mean, this is a scary river. Queen on the end. This would be tough to call if Ben can blast here on the river. I mean, it looks like he's considering it. He's got under a pot-sized bet left.
All in. 1 is all in.
Ben is all in. Vijayaram is 1 word away from winning the Aussie Millions. All he has to do is call with an underpair, basically, to win the match. Easy. I'm sure everybody in Twitch chat right now is like, oh yeah, call, easy, you win, buddy. But this is an incredibly tough call to make with an underpair. Let's see if Vijayaram can figure this out. I mean, we beat Ace 8, King 8, Jack 8, 8-4, heart draws, I suppose. He's asking for a count, which is very reasonable. Man, this would be an epic, unreal call. If somehow Vijayaram can make this, I mean, this would just be next level, unreal. You don't want to double up a dangerous opponent. If Vijayaram was wrong, Heath would have 10 million chips. We got ourselves an even game. But we know that if he calls here, it's all over, baby. Can Vijayaram somehow figure this out? Raise preflop, call. Check, bet, call. Turn, check, bet, raise, call. River all in. Vijayaram's got to call 3.2 million to win 7.5 million. Man, I wish he had just had 2 8s here instead of 2 5s. The thing is, though, it doesn't really make a difference, right? Because Heath doesn't have ace 7. He doesn't have king 6, right? He either has 2 pair, a straight, a set, or nothing. Wow, this would be an unreal, unbelievable call if he can make it. One of the toughest spots I've ever seen, really. Heads up for 600,000, and no matter what happens, you got to give Heath credit for putting his life on the line here with king high. Correctly realizes his opponent isn't that strong. And imagine how Ben Heath is feeling right now. He's all in. His opponent is thinking about it. Heath knows if he's called, it's all over. Vijayaram hasn't released his hand yet. He's chopping out the call. That's 2.5 million. That's 3.2 million. That's the call. He's got it right there. If he pushes those chips forward, it's over. Can he somehow make this call? If he finds a call here, this would be the sickest call I think I've ever seen. $600,000. The difference between first and second place. There has been no deal. Vijayaram trying to figure this out here, but this would just be absurd. Can Vijayaram find the call here? Our satellite qualifier in for $135, playing for 600 grand in front of one of the largest live stream audiences for poker in Twitch history.
What can you have? You got to bust the draw here. Feels like a bust.
He's figured it out. He can only really beat a busted draw. Hearts are straight. And no matter whether he calls or not, Vijayaram's instincts this hand has been amazing. Props to Ben Heath's poker face. He is showing nothing. Can Vijayaram find the call here on the river for all the money? This is intense. He's replaying the hand again. He raised, got called. Check called flop. Check raise turn from Heath. And then Heath shoved the river. He calls! It's all over! Holy moly, he wins the tournament! That's it! It's over! Wow, wow, wow! All that money going to Vijayaram. That is the run it up dream right there. $135 into $1.6 million.